Good evening. This meeting of the Golden Speakers Toastmasters Club will come to order. We are the Golden Speakers. We meet here at the Fairfield Hy-Vee every Tuesday night at the end of the ice cream aisle. The mission of the Toastmasters Club is to provide a mutually supportive and positive learning environment in which every member has the opportunity to develop oral communication and leadership skills, which in turn foster self-confidence and personal growth. So I am Emery Styron. I'm serving as fill-in president in the absence of our leader, Dennis Gomez. And I'm now going to turn the meeting over to our Toastmaster, Jean Symington Craig. Jean?
Thank you. Okay, well, greetings. We're about to have a boat tip, so maybe we need somebody to be over on that side, just to fill out the weight. I know that this room is not going to tip. I know that, but on some level visually, I think I need to have it like that. So thank you, Emery, for moving. So greetings to everyone here this evening. We do have some speeches. We're a little sparse tonight, but that's all right. We actually seem to do really well when we're sparse. So we're just going to keep going. And we have a new member, correct? And this is Hy-Vee, and we'll work on our pronunciation, but I think Hy-Vee works? Yeah. Okay, so let's give him a round of applause. Okay, very good. He's stepping right up. He's going to be our timer. And of course, clapping is always something that we're going to be doing, so be sure you've got your hands ready to give support as we have people come up and as they leave. It's our job as the audience. All right, well, my job as the Toastmaster is to introduce our role players. Not quite sure that we have all of our role players. Getting there close. But let's start with our timer, who's our new member. Hy-Vee, would you please explain your role and give the times that you'll be timing?
Yeah. I'm going to count the time for every speaker. For the table topics, there will be 1 to 2 minute speeches. The green light is turned on at 1 minute, and the yellow light is turned on at 1 minute 30 seconds, and the red light is turned on at 2 minutes and remains until the end of the speech. For prepared speeches will be usually 5 to 7 minutes, and the ice breakers is 4 to 6 minutes. The green light is turned on at 5 minutes, the yellow light is turned on at 6 minutes, and the red light is turned on at 7 minutes and remains on until the end of the speech. For evaluations will be 3 minutes. The green light is turned on at 2 minutes, the yellow light is turned on at 2 minutes 30 seconds, and the red light turned on at 3 minutes and remains on until the end of the speeches. This will be the green, yellow, and red. Thank you.
And you'll give a report at the end of the meeting?
Yeah, at the end of the meeting I will provide a report of who qualified for.
Good. Okay, very good. Okay. I think we'll go to our counter now. Art, that's going to be you.
Correct.
So please explain your role and what you'll be counting this evening.
My role as counter is to make note of any filler sounds or words spoken or used by the people speaking this evening. Examples would be her, and then inappropriate use of words such as but, and. We also include false starts and tongue clicks. I'll make note of these and give a brief report at the end of the meeting.
Thank you. We normally have a grammarian. We don't have our grammarian this evening, so I'd like to take somebody to volunteer a word that we're going to use, someone who can give us a definition of that, and we'll just use that in an impromptu way. So, people ready at your buzzers? Okay, first buzzer that I hear. Yes, Emery.
Reap.
Reap.
Yeah.
All right.
In keeping with our theme tonight.
And what is a reap? Okay.
It's a verb
Okay.
meaning to harvest.
Okay. And could you use it in a sentence for us?
You reap what you sow.
Oh, there we go. If we haven't heard that, we haven't been around. We've been under a rock somewhere. Okay, so the word of the evening tonight, and can you spell it for us?
R-E-A-P.
Well, that's simple, R-E-A-P. So R-E-A-P is going to be our word for the day. And let's see, who could we, Randy, nice to see you. Could you just listen for any time someone uses that word, reap? Yes, I know you're a guest. I know this is a little impromptu, but we're being impromptu. And just make a note on the back of some page there. That's all I'm asking is reap.
Just right where?
Just, on the back of one of the pages that are there. Just if you recognize a name, you could ask Art. You could say, Art, who was that?
So you want me to
Listen
for reap.
for reap. Correct usage is preferred. Okay, so we're not looking for people who are like, reap, 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 like a bird. No, that's not correct. So, okay? Okay, thank you. Thank you. You never know when you come in the store if you're going to get recruited for something.
All right, trying to keep me awake.
Yeah, it is. It's a good listening exercise. Okay, so reap is our word. Randy's just going to let us know who uses it. And our general evaluator, I'm not sure if we're going to have one, but we'll figure that out. Rick may be arriving any minute. He may be behind the same coal train that I was in back of. All right, so that's it. Who's counting grammar? Did you get that, Art?
Yeah.
Okay,
There's
good.
a man and then
Yeah. All right, I'm demonstrating. I think we've got all of our roles covered, and we're going to go ahead and get started. We do have 2 speeches for the evening, which I'm excited to hear. Our first speaker is going to be Fraser Jones, and his evaluator is Will Burns, and Will be giving us the objectives for Fraser's speech and helping us to understand what Fraser is attempting to accomplish and reap for himself this evening in terms of developing his Toastmaster skills. Did you write that down? Okay. That's how it goes. Jean. Okay. If you use a word, you might want to go, Will, or like that. Great. Okay, so let's warmly welcome up Will.
Thank you, Jean. Tonight, Fraser shall be giving project number 7 from the Competent Communicator Manual. This manual right here, entitled Research Your Topic. Since we're all executives here, I'll give the executive summary. Your speech will be more effective if you can support your main points with statistics, testimony, stories, anecdotes, examples, visual aids, and facts. Use information collected from numerous sources to carefully support points rather than just your own opinions. Fraser tonight will collect information from multiple sources and support his points and opinions with specific facts, examples, and illustrations. His speech tonight will be 5 to 7 minutes. Fraser Jones hails from the island of Dominica, which was the most lush, green, hospitable, and exquisitely beautiful island in the Caribbean. Some would say in the world. However, after Hurricane Maria took advantage of Dominica's hospitality and paid a visit last week, it was left in ruins. Tonight's topic, the Wrath of Maria, the mother of all hurricanes. Please welcome Fraser Jones.
Did you remember my speech on Hurricane David?
Yes.
You think it was bad, right?
Yeah.
I thought it was bad also. Madam Toastmasters, fellow members, guests, viewers at home. Hurricane Maria, which hit Dominica last week, Monday night, was extraordinary. Hurricane David was nothing compared to it. We heard people are saying Hurricane David was a baby. I was following Hurricane Maria since Saturday. It wasn't even a hurricane then. Saturday morning, it was nothing. It didn't have a name. But by the afternoon, it was a storm, and that's when they give it a name. It had winds of 50 miles an hour. Right. Tropicaltidbits.com does one of the best forecasting out there, using information from the National Hurricane Center. So I listened to his report on Saturday, and he said that Hurricane Maria is just 50 miles an hour, but the temperatures of the water in its path is high, and that's going to give it extra energy, and it is going to gain speed rapidly. By Sunday night, his report, it was a full-blown hurricane with speeds of 75 miles an hour. And he said it would hit landfall between Martinique, Dominica, and Guadeloupe. You see, Dominica is center. His report on Monday night is 6 p.m. report. He said Hurricane Maria now had wind speeds of 150 miles an hour, and landfall on Dominica was in a few hours, and you could see the line of the path. I mean, it's straight to Dominica. I mean, it was actually covering Dominica, with this kid. I check up the information from the National Hurricane Center, and by 9 a.m., Hurricane Maria was lashing Dominica with wind speeds of up to 160 miles an hour. Soon after 9 a.m., I start getting WhatsApp text. There was this video clip. Water pouring through the sides of a door, and someone shouting, "The door is going to burst." and telling the person that was downstairs to come upstairs. I checked on Facebook. Then there was the Prime Minister saying, "Ruff, ruff, ruff." Half an hour later, he said, "I'm flooding, my roof is off." 5 minutes later, he said, "I was rescued." My sister calling me from, texting, WhatsApping me from England, asking me whether I spoke to my mother. I said, "It's night. Forget about it till tomorrow." Next day, no information out of Dominica. Then, when things start coming out on Wednesday, you hear some of the most incredible things. I mean, one lady said that the winds were so strong they pulled up ground provision and house was destroyed. When you walk into town, it was like winter, no leaves on the tree. But it was worse than that. Hurricane Maria take off the bark from the tree. And in Roseau, in the capital, logs, the riverboat logs, well, 3 blocks away from the river, down the main street. People have to climb and crawl and sometimes duck over logs to make any progress. One lady reporting to ABS, that's Antigua Broadcasting Service, she said, when the rain started, in her house, the wind howling outside, and water started to come through. So she got up from her bed and went to mop, and then she heard a big sound. When she went back to her bed, piece of the rafter, something had hit the roof and the rafter had gone straight to the bed where she was lying. So, you see what I mean? Hurricane David was nothing compared to Hurricane Maria. Thank you.
Now it's my pleasure to call our Toastmaster, Jean Symington Craig.
Oof. Oof. Hurricanes. All right, well, Defa, would you please time us for 1 minute? 2 minutes, sorry, 2 minutes. And everyone can write their evaluation for Fraser. Okay, we're back. It's time to move on to our second speaker. And that is going to be Susanna McCann, and her evaluator for the evening is going to be Emery Styron. And Emery is going to come up and also give us objectives for Susanna's speech, and so please help me warmly welcome Emery.
Susanna's project tonight is number 9 in the Competent Communicator Manual, Persuade with Power. talked to her on the phone, and we agreed she's getting close to the end of this book, so
Nice.
we'll want to help her across the finish line. So her objectives in this speech are to persuade listeners to adopt her viewpoint or ideas, or to take some specific actions. She is to appeal to the audience's interest, to use logic and emotion to support her position, and to avoid using notes. She'll be speaking for 5 to 7 minutes. Susanna has had a lifelong interest in personal development and evolution of culture. She was a full-time meditation teacher for 20 years and a full-time wife and mother for about 10 years. And she's been an architectural designer and consultant for 18 years. She's also an avid student and practitioner of Taoist Qigong for about 15 years. Tonight she will issue an invitation to the women of Fairfield to spend a day on the mysterious island of the Amazons. Please welcome Susanna.
Having heard about the island of Dominica from a child of Dominica, it's a little bit of a challenging transition to be talking about the island of the Amazons. And I'm going to try to relate the two. Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, and viewers at home, I'd like to ask you what it would be like to be living in a culture where it's naturally assumed that women are strong and they don't necessarily find their purpose in being deferential or meeting other people's agendas, and they are in their own power and attuned to their own purpose. In about 2 weeks, on Sunday, October 8th, there's going to be a special thinning of the veil between our culture here and the culture of the Amazons island. How many of you saw that recent movie? Okay, good. So you have a feeling of what I'm talking about. There was this parallel reality where there was a culture of women on this island, and the story of it is they had a particular purpose that was known in their mythology. And that is that they knew that there was going to come a time on Earth where they were going to be called upon they're the only people who can defeat the god of war. And there was going to come a time in history when they would have to rise to the occasion to help defeat the god of war and save the human race. And so they were in this special environment, and they basically spent their time practicing martial arts, being prepared, being strong to fulfill this purpose. And then there was this time when the sort of shield between their world and the regular world that we're more familiar with loosened up a little bit, and certain things happened. And I won't spoil the movie for those of you who haven't seen it. But when I first saw the movie, I thought, this is an entertaining, superhero movie, probably a little subtler than most, a little more interesting than most. But it was basically just a very entertaining movie. And then as I was going about my life afterwards, certain issues would come up in my life. What am I going to do about this? And I was feeling sort of disempowered from some situation that came up. And I'd be sort of thinking, what am I going to do? And then something from the movie would sort of come to me. For example, one of the things Wonder Woman had was she had these special bracelets whereby she could deflect bullets. and various other, weapons. And so she would be running through some battleground, deflecting bullets with her arms. And it was like she didn't even know she had that power before she got out there into that situation. And so the lesson was, hey, trust your training. You have this knowledge, you have these abilities. Just trust that and own it, So that was an example of a little lesson that sort of came up for me. And as some of you know, I teach women's workshops and women's empowerment and so forth. And it gave me an idea. I could probably teach an awful lot of what I do through this medium of relating to the Wonder Woman image, the Wonder Woman archetype. So I put together this workshop, and I'd like to invite the women of Fairfield to come, and all of you men who know women and have women in your lives, I invite you to encourage the women in your lives to come to my workshop. You will not regret it. And just a few things we're going to be doing at the workshop is we'll be learning some simple but very profound and powerful Qigong techniques that have to do with integrating the main centers of the body. There's the center of vision and purpose in the head. There's the center of integration and love and harmonizing seemingly irreconcilable values, and that's the value of the heart, love. And then there's the root center of the body, which has to do with life force. It's the force of that hurricane. It's the force of the growing blade of grass that pushes its way up through the sidewalk. And we want to integrate all of those three factors. And when we do that, we can strengthen our own personal power. Most of us will not be asked to be physical warriors, but every single one of us needs confidence, needs courage, needs resilience in the face of all the things that come our way. Especially these days with the natural disasters, it's like opening up the book of Revelation every time you turn on the news on TV. We need this. So I humbly invite the women of Fairfield to this playful workshop. In the evening, we're going to have a costume party. We're going to suit up. And women are going to put together their own Wonder Woman costumes. We're going to have a photo shoot. We're going to watch the movie and have a great time. Thank you very much.
Mr. Timer, would you please time 2 minutes for us to do evaluations? That was such an interesting talk. I think women in particular could reap many benefits from attending your seminar, your day-long activity. Moving right along, we have 2 speakers tonight. Mr. Timer, would you please just give us the names of which of our speakers have qualified? You don't need to give us the number, just give us the names of who qualified.
Susanna
McCann?
yeah, she's qualified.
She qualified, okay. Fraser Jones?
He's not.
Not qualified, okay. So I did that a little wrong because we're not supposed to say not qualified, you just say who's qualified and we figure out what happened from that. Okay, so since we only have 1 speaker who was within time tonight, we know who our speaker for the evening is going to be, and we'll announce her officially later. All right. Do I have any, I could be the general evaluator if you want, or we could have someone else do it. Some of us are carrying double duty tonight. Maybe I'll just do it. Does that sound all right? Everyone, it's okay? Okay, good. So that means that's efficient because I don't have to call anybody up and we can just keep going right here. So now I'm going to put on the general evaluator hat and we're going to enter the evaluation portion of our meeting, which is where our speakers and the rest of us get to have some feedback from evaluators, things that were done well, met the objectives, and particularly interesting things that are suggested where the speaker could perhaps have done it differently or make some adjustments to better meet the objectives, because we're always looking for ways that we can improve. And for our next projects, so it's all comfortable that way. Our evaluators are giving their personal opinion, and the rest of us are writing out our comments, and the speakers really get to have something they take home. They reap the benefit of all of these evaluations. Randy, I'm looking at you. I just used it again. Oh, he's going, I can't believe it. She just did it again. See that? It is like walking and chewing gum at the same time, trying to listen, but okay. So dialing up our listening skills. Our first evaluator for the evening, evaluating Fraser Jones, is Will Burns. Please help me warmly welcome Will Burns.
Whenever Fraser starts to speak, the power of his voice and the passion he has for whatever the topic is blast away any distractions. I am always riveted by Fraser's speeches. Today I loved Fraser's use of gestures here. I just would have liked to have seen them bigger. You know, it was a big event. Sometimes, bring it in for events. Also can bring it out. Also, the visual aids. I don't know, perhaps a picture of like the logs in the street would have. I mean, you did a fabulous job, Fraser, of painting that picture of, the roof being torn off the Prime Minister's mansion and everything that's going on there, and really setting up the scene. Fraser actually did a really advanced thing, I thought. He harkened back to an earlier speech where he had us hooked with the story of Hurricane David, and then he said, you all heard that talk, but that was nothing compared to what this was. And then he reminded us of that in the speech and started to wind it up about how it started off, it wasn't that bad, but then the water temperature was starting to rise and it was going to add power to it, and they really got into it. Finally, as this was Project 7 statistics, perhaps some comparison between how much worse Maria was over David as well with the. Did I hear you mention it after the speech that nobody was killed in this particular event? Is that true, or?
No, people. I did mention that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, okay. No, that's okay. Yeah, if they weren't, I would have liked to have known that.
Yeah.
Unfortunate. But yeah, Fraser, for you, I loved your gestures. Make them bigger, maybe, and then include some visual aids and statistics. I'm always impressed with Fraser's passion and can-do attitude. Whatever he sets himself up to do, he drives on until he achieves success with that. And while Dominica has been ravaged by Hurricane Maria, I'm convinced that with the same attitude, it can be restored once again to the most lush, green, hospitable, and exquisitely beautiful island in the Caribbean, perhaps the world. Thank you, Fraser.
Got it. Okay, good. All right, very good. One evaluation down, one to go. We also will have Emery Styron evaluating Susanna McCann's braceletized, it's a word I just made up, braceletized speech. Please help me warmly welcome Emery.
Good evening again, fellow Toastmasters, guests, viewers at home, and especially you, Susanna. Susanna's mission tonight was to persuade us, or a presumed audience, assumed audience of women of Fairfield, to attend one of her meetings, or a seminar that she's going to hold. Our manual listed a number of criteria or points to evaluate the speech on, and I will go through those. Her sincerity and conviction is always one of Susanna's strongest points as a speaker. There's just something about her nature and her presence on the stage that just makes her extremely believable. And so I give her very high points on that. It asks if she's a credible source to give this talk, because she's talking about a seminar she's going to give, because she's very well known and experienced teacher and seminar presenter in this community. She is an extremely credible source. Did she appeal to the audience's self-interest? Well, this one is a little bit tricky. This particular audience has one other woman in it, so at first she wasn't appealing to anyone's self-interest except Jean's, but she modified that as she went and talked about men, encourage your women in your lives to attend. So I thought that was good. And then the other side of that is that, as was stated at the outset, she was giving this talk presumably to encourage women, or have an audience of women, to get them to come. So from that standpoint, I mean, she would have hit it out of the park had she had that audience of women here. So I think she did fine on that, either way you look at it. Her opening, she did something that was very effective and appropriate. She made an on-the-fly adaptation to Fraser's topic. Since she was talking about this island, if you've seen the movie, it's a beautiful island that I would have taken to be sort of in the Caribbean or South America. I don't know exactly where it was, but she tied it to Dominica. Did she use facts and logical reasoning? I didn't really pick up on a lot of that, nor did I pick up on a lot of emotion. Her organization, it seemed to me, I wasn't sure when the introduction stopped and the meat of the speech started, because I was expecting her, because you've given this before, to go into some of the actual life lessons of Wonder Woman, but that wasn't your purpose here, apparently, and so I thought you were going to talk about the head, the hands, the root center more than you did. Body language, strong use of your hands especially. The props were very effective. The little shield, the bracelets. Vocal variety, I would say not as much as you could have. You might work on that. Was it persuasive? I think it would have been to an audience of women. It was for me personally. I wanted to know more. I especially wanted to know more about those life lessons of Wonder Woman. What to do differently, more vocal variety, maybe give people more of a taste of what lessons they're going to learn at the seminar. Just maybe one, and whet their appetite for more. What did I like? I liked the tie to Dominica. I like your props. I like your sincerity and conviction. Out of Toastmasters.
Thank you. Okay. Next. As Emery just sits down, we're going to now do table topics, which is one of our fun portions of our meeting. It's our impromptu speaking session where you don't know what question you're going to get asked, but you do the best you can. And I'll go ahead and explain it. It's a 1 to 2 minute impromptu speech. You have up to 30 seconds to think before you start speaking. Once you start speaking, our timer will be timing. And you're safe if you can get to the green. The green will be at 1 minute, and then the yellow is 1.5, and the red is at 2. And you would be disqualified. We have friendly competition here. When I do this, it doesn't mean your head really does get cut off. It's just a sign. But you would be disqualified after 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Okay, so you just want to go for the green, and then once the red hits, wrap it up. That's the best way to do it. Okay, I think we'll go ahead and have our Table Topics Master, Emery Styron, come on up, and let's get it rolling. Okay.
Okay, our table topics will play off our meeting theme of harvest. We're in a very agricultural state, so I suspect many of you have some way to relate to harvest topics. But now I'm calling for volunteers. Frazier. I'm going to read this quote to you, Frazier, and I just want you to take off and respond to it any way you think's appropriate. It is only the farmer who faithfully plants seeds in spring who reaps a harvest in the autumn.
Well said. You have to put your effort and be consistent on whatever you're doing for you to get consistent and effective results. So, whatever you are going to do, you have to put your energy and all your will into it, and you will reap success. Everybody knows the saying, you reap what you sow. Right? So by putting your energy into whatever you do will guarantee success. Thank you.
Who will be next? Our guests are welcome.
There it goes.
Randy.
Randy. Okay, I did remember that actually. Randy, has there ever been a time when you did not reap what you sowed?
Yeah, but I don't want to talk about it. I have, as a matter of fact. It's actually bothering me. But you know, there's always new sowing to happen. happen.
Okay, well, you just
Yeah.
take off on that
Okay.
and see where you go with it.
So what you reap, but you also reap what you sow. How do you do that? Okay, you reap what you sow because everything that happens in your life moves. It's always moving. Never stops. Even when you think it's stopping, it's not stopping. And a lot of times you think it's stopping. And you need to remember in everything that you do, in everything that you say, that it's continuous. It's going to go on. North Korea is going to do what they're going to do. The United States is going to do what they're going to do. It doesn't really matter in the end because this is all just a dream. And our dream, we go to sleep and we have it, and we awake and we have it. They're both dreams. Why is a dream of reaping or sowing something that someone has to attach themselves to in a real clutching way? Why does it make us happy to own this and own that and have things that are ours? We got to think about that when we sow and when we reap. Thank you.
Someone else. Jennifer? It's easy practice. You just get more comfortable every time.
Just harvest or?
Just let him
I'll have a question for you.
I'm not sure if I. Count up.
Can you remember a time when you reaped what you did sow, when you did reap what you sowed in a big or unexpected way?
Okay.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is my first speech here, so quickly I will talk about my experience with the harvest. Since I'm from a farmer's family or culture in Jordan, we used to divide our lands into 3 parts, and we have around, for every year we only plant 2 lands and we keep the 3rd land to rest. So it's like a round robin. If you any of you have an experience with computer science, the operating system use the same algorithm, which is called round robin. Usually we plant wheat in one land, and the second land we used to plant summer vegetables, cucumber, or these vegetables. We have different seasons like than here, so we start planting in September for wheat, and we harvest that in June or late May. And for the summer vegetables, we plant in April, and we harvest in July or August. Usually, this experience of I'm one of the generations in Jordan. They used to harvest manually, and we use the new technologies. So we have these huge or giant machines to harvest our wheat. So this is one of the I think real experiences that maybe the new generation or maybe the generation here they do not have this experience. Yeah, thank you.
Next. Come on up, Art. Now, this is not about you, but maybe about someone you know, or you can remember, maybe your grandfather perhaps. But here's a quote that says, "The harvest of old age is the recollection and abundance of blessing previously secured." That's by Cicero. So can you describe maybe someone in your life who reflects that harvest of old age?
Read it for me again.
The harvest of old age is the recollection and abundance of blessing previously secured.
Good evening, Toastmasters and guests. I'd not heard this quote before, but I am starting to count more and more frequently the times when people whom I meet regard me as being elderly. This is a new experience. A few years ago, I handed a business card to a couple of guys that I met on the sidewalk, and when they came to my place of business, one of the little questions on the interview form is, "How did you hear about us?" And I was a little bit shocked when I read his answer. It was, "Old man." Well, okay, I guess from his 16-year-old perspective, it's the case. So the blessing of old age is the recollection of an abundance of blessings previously secured. These days I am experiencing some of that, recognizing the degree to which my life has been blessed and that I've had the opportunity to experience something profound or beautiful. So I actually have some beginnings of an appreciation for Cicero's quote, but it hasn't yet blossomed to the point where I feel that I'm full of life and ready to pass on. I actually have an ambition to experience many more such abundances of blessing before I have to meet my Maker. So from that perspective, I would say I'm not ready to give up the fight. I'm ready to press on and experience more fully an abundance of blessing. Mr. Tabletop.
Do we have time for another? Okay.
Okay.
We're going to shift gears here, Jean.
Oh, thank goodness. Okay.
This is another quote. "Robots will harvest, cook, and serve our food. They will work in our factories, drive our cars, and walk our dogs. Like it or not, The age of work is coming to an end. Are you looking forward to this robot world?
Okay, all right, good. Mr. Table Topics Master and members, guests, and viewers at home. Well, right out of the gate, someone who will take care of the food, cook it up, and clean it afterwards, and just keep on rolling and enhancing the recipes and growing up. I am totally on board for that. That sounds great. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm more than looking forward to that. I'm ready for it yesterday. Okay. Walking the dog. Now, that's a different kind of work because walking your dog is not just physical activity, but it is bonding. There is love associated with walking your dog, at least with our dogs. So I would like to say, I don't know, I'd like to have the option on my robot to turn certain activities on and others off. So I would get my basic robot. I would definitely flip the switch for the cooking and the cleaning. Oh, house cleaning, that's a whole nother thing. But on the dog walk, I'd probably in the settings say, no, not needed for that, because I would like to walk the dog. What other activities? So there's so many things that, well, like you said, there's driving the cars. The self-driving cars, I'm a little nervous about those. First of all, because I know that I'm a better driver than most of the people that are out there. And if I have a heavy foot, I feel like I know how to deal with it, but the robot may not know how to do that. So I think I might get impatient with my robot and start pushing it, like, could you just go a little faster? It's like, it's okay, don't be such a wuss. Okay. So I think the answer to the question of the robots, I like the food idea. I'll retain the walking for my dog. I'm still on the fence about the cars. But overall, I think I am looking forward to seeing what that technology will bring.
Thank you. I believe that concludes our table topics. Just a personal editorial. I would continue to walk the dog, but have the robot pick up the poop.
Oh, yeah. There we go.
Shall I turn the meeting back over to our general evaluator? No, I need to call for a timer's report. Mr. Timer.
Just too qualified.
Actually, only two are qualified. Our guest and Fraser.
Okay.
2 minutes and 30 seconds is what you allow?
It's 1 to 2 minutes, right?
Right, but then you have a 30-second grace period after
Alright.
that. So it's actually 2 minutes and 30 seconds before you wouldn't qualify.
Okay, so that's make the change. So I have qualified.
You are
Also,
qualified.
you are qualified.
Thank you.
Okay. Could you read the names of all who qualified?
Yeah. Fraser Jones, our guest, Randy.
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 I have the same problem.
What's your name?
Yeah.
Hudayfa.
Okay, you guys can get together afterwards.
He's on the agenda, you can see it.
Okay.
And Jay Symington.
Jean, just Jean.
Jean, okay, and Hudayfa.
Okay.
Okay, so you have your ballots.
3:35. 2:35. 2 minutes 35.
Hard. Oh, hard.
Is complete. I'd like to now call our table topics evaluator Dan Craig forward. Please welcome Dan.
Thank you, Mr. Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, viewers at home. Mr. Timer, My time is, as an evaluator, is 2 to 3 minutes. I've got 5 people, so I'm going to ask for 1 more minute.
Okay.
So 3 to 4.
3 to 4.
We had 5 speakers. The first was Fraser. I thought he started out very well, and I liked that he restated the question that he was given in different words. So we had a richer understanding of what the topic was. My suggestion for Fraser was in regard to movement on the stage. I'd suggest that you think about moving a little more purposely, to go to a place and plant a bit and speak from there, and then move and speak from there. I also liked your conclusion. Again, you restated in a way your topic, and it was a good, strong ending. Our second speaker was Randy. How do you reap what you sow? I like that you started out by restating what you were going to talk about. That was basically your introduction. I did have a suggestion for you. I thought that your voicing, the level of your speaking voice was a little low. It can be very effective if you'll alternate it with quieter passages and then louder passages. It'll hit your audience stronger if you have that variety. And you had an interesting conclusion, an interesting wrap-up. It doesn't matter, it's all just a dream. But that was your conclusion. Next was Hudaifa. He was asked to explain a time where he had reaped what he had sown. And I thought it was very interesting the way that he went about this. We think of that as a metaphorical expression, but Hudaifa is a farmer, so he explained about reaping what he sowed. And I really like that. He knew of what he talked. It was very clear. My suggestion for you, it actually applied to a lot of people, but I particularly noticed it for you. You have up to 30 seconds once you get your question to think about how you want to respond to it. And that's often very good to do because you can organize your mind. How will I start? How will I illustrate? How will I wrap up? You might think about using that. But I particularly wanted to congratulate you for getting up to talk, even though we dragged you up here. Good job. Our fourth speaker was Art. He did a number of things very well. He greeted the audience. I particularly like that since he was asked about reflecting back on a life when someone has reached a certain age, that he first told us the story about how somebody had labeled him as an old man. So he knew that, oh, well, we knew that he was qualified to talk about Cicero's saying. I like that he told us that while he related to this to some extent, he really felt like there were many more abundances that he wanted to experience before he was ready to stop and reflect. And a good conclusion. I didn't really come up with any suggestion for you, Art. I'll have to think about it a bit more. You did everything too well.
Watch the clock. That would be one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Watch the clock, Art. And our final speaker was Jean. She greeted the audience. She expressed enthusiasm for the question she'd been given. Oh boy, robots, somebody to cook and clean house. All right. As usual, Jean had very good gestures, good vocal variety. She does a lot of things very well in terms of her delivery. The only suggestion I've got for Jean, I thought that I noticed that you were delivering a lot of your talk to Emery. He had asked the question, you were answering him. But there was some glancing around to the rest of the audience, but I thought you could have quite a bit more spoken to different people, so we all felt included. And a good wrap-up, a number of very good things. Let's see, Madam General Evaluator, are you coming up to relieve me?
Hi, thank you. Okay, very good. All right, Mr. Timer, would you please tell us which of our 3 evaluators, we had Will Burns, we had Emery Styron, and then we have Dan Craig as evaluators, which of those 3 qualified? Those would be those 2 to 3 minute speeches. Okay, so Will Burns is our only qualifying evaluator. So I think we'll know what to do about that a little later as well. Now we're heading into general evaluator section and our role players. So first off, I would like to hear from our timer, Hudaifa, if you could just read the name and the time, what the time was for each of our sections.
For the icebreaker speech, we have Fraser Jones, 7 minutes, 33 seconds, and Susanna McCann, 6 minutes, 58 seconds. And for table topics, we have Fraser Jones, 1 minute, 24 seconds. Randy, 1 minute, 40 seconds. And Hudaifa, 2 minutes, 5 seconds. Art, 2 minutes, 35 seconds. And Gina, 2 minutes, 20 seconds. And for our evaluators, we have Will Burns, 2 minutes, 40 seconds. Emery, 4 minutes, 43 seconds. And Dan Craig, 5 minutes, 6 seconds.
Okay, great, thank you. Thank you. Now, before we finish clapping, brand new member, this is his third meeting, but really, timing is, you can see there's a lot of moving parts. It's a hard job to get right out of the gate. I just think he's done a great job. I'd like to give him a second. Okay. Then we have our recruited REAP counter, which would be Randy. Randy, can you tell us who used REAP?
Yeah.
And how many?
Mostly, yeah.
Yeah, good. No, I know you don't know everybody.
Jean, okay, well, Jean's got like 5 at this
I
point.
tried. I wanted to keep you engaged.
Yeah, I mean, they're in the back of my mind.
Okay.
The first, the ones especially. Okay, Will, I think just 1. Henry, 4 or 5.
Emery. Is that Emery?
Emery, I'm sorry, Emery. Yeah, Emery. Yeah, of course, he had a lot more time to say it. He didn't say it many times. Yeah, Emery. Okay. Randy, 4, I believe. 3. Jessica. Just 2. Yeah. Sci-fi. Who? Oh, who? Oh, it's an H. Okay, I thought it was J. Okay. And Dan Craig, 4.
Okay, great. All right, well, thank you. That's really good. Okay. Now we'll hear from our counter, Art Atkinson.
Tonight was a rich haul. Emery, 15 1 so. Will, 2 and Jean, 2 a so, 2 ands, and a false start. Hudaifa, 14 and an and. Fraser was clean. Susanna, 2 so's, 3 ands, and a false start. Randy, 2 uhs, and an and. Myself, 2 so's and an and. Dan Craig, 1 That's my report.
Excellent. We all get to hear what our favorite filler words are, and Art has just had a listening tune-up for the entire meeting. So when it's our grammarian or when it's our counter, they're getting listening tune-ups. So it's really good. You feel enlivened in your ears, Art? Are they humming a little bit?
The hearing aids buzz every time somebody said it.
Yeah, okay, whatever it is.
So I had biofeedback.
Technical assist.
Alrighty, very good. Okay. We don't have a joke unless we do have a joke. Does someone have a joke that they'd like to tell? Has to be G rated, general rated, you know.
Really?
Yeah. It does. Okay, Art, would you like to tell a joke? Okay, here comes Art.
This is a situation in a college English class with a smart aleck student. And the professor, she decides to give him a smackdown, and his assignment in front of the whole class is spontaneously he needs to come up with a sentence that uses all 4 of these words. Defense, defeat, detail, deduction. The kid says, no problem. Defeat of deduct went over defense before detail.
Okay, so, for once, I got, but say it again, Art, because, okay, so listen, you gotta listen to this. Don't listen to it yet.
Use the words defense, detail, deduct,
Defeat.
defeat. Defeat of detail, defeat of deduct went over defense before detail. I think we scored.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
The other one is, 4-year-old boy says, I'm praying to Howard. And his dad says, well, why Howard? He says, that's God's name. And Dad says, what do you mean Howard is God's name? He says, every night we pray, hallowed be thy name.
Well, that's pretty good and impromptu for that. Thank you, Art. It's very fun. All right. My job as the general evaluator is to evaluate our evaluators primarily. And so that is what I will do here. First, so fellow Toastmasters, guests, evaluators, and viewers at home. I'll run right through. I'll just give some comments from my perspective. We can go from theirs. Will evaluated Fraser, and he gave a positive statement. He gave some good positive statements right at the beginning. Didn't go over everything, but he said one thing he said was his voice was very big, very riveting. He always likes hearing Fraser speak. Now, Will is going to be competing at the division evaluation contest this weekend. All right, so he's kind of got a little different angle because here we're evaluating projects and there they'll just be evaluating speeches. I took that a little bit, like maybe you're practicing a little bit. He gave some suggestions to Fraser, which is very important. That's what we want evaluators to do. He said more visual aids, bigger hand gestures. So he's balancing positive and then suggestions for improvement. My suggestion to Will is, and this happens a lot, is the projects have specific objectives and they're building certain tools and skills. Project 7 is a very specific tool builder, which is learning how to take multiple sources from a variety of experts and statistics and studies and like that, and picking a subject and using those variety of sources to enhance your credibility as a speaker and to really convince the audience that you know what you're talking about and you have all this weight. So that's a very specific project. You can have a great talk that you want to do. It may not be the right talk for this project. So I would say for Will, as an evaluator, that he could have really honed in on the fact that Fraser did have a harrowing, very recent experience that he was sharing via a speech. But, mentioning that, he did mention slightly that, there's like to see some statistics, but we need to see a lot of different kinds of source materials for that kind of talk. Maybe a different topic would have been easier to do that for. So that happens all the time. But you got to really pick your topic to go with the project. All right, so that would be my suggestion to Will. Emery evaluated Susanna. Oh, by the way, Hudaifa, you're doing 3 to 4 for me? Okay. Positive, Emery used the manual objectives. He really wanted us to know what Toastmasters International was, the questions that he needed to address to help Susanna be evaluated correctly, and he was positive in much of his comments. The suggestions he gave, examples of organization being a little hazy, and suggestions, maybe to tighten the organization, and then also more vocal variety. My suggestion to Emery would be to give examples, if at all possible. So vocal variety, and then talk about, well, here we are, and then here you are, sending off with the bullets. Help you see what he's talking about. Also, organization could possibly give some ideas of what the introduction, a body, and a conclusion could do that would have helped him experience that organization better. Finally, Dan, table topics, really good. He had something positive for everyone. He had a suggestion for everyone, except for Art, and then the audience provided one for that. He also gave specific feedback, which shows, as an evaluator, shows the speaker, I am really listening to you. When he talked about Hudaifa answering the question instead of metaphorically, hey, I am a farmer. I can talk about reaping and sowing because this is what we do. And also, he also said something about Art being qualified as an old man because he's been told he's an old man. So very good listening. Really enjoyed that as well. Don't really have a suggestion. I'm on the red light. Thank you. Okay. So now we're coming to the awards section. I am getting a little like, where am I? Who am I here? I only had one contest. Is that correct? Okay, so we're going to do a table topics, our table topics winner, because we did have some people there. So this is our fashion. Randy. Okay, so Randy, good shot. And this is now, don't let this go to your head. It's all a dream. It's just a dream. You're not sowing anything, or you're not reaping anything that you sowed. It's good. But on some level, it's a good dream as opposed to a bad dream, right? Okay, good. All right, well, there we go, Randy. Okay. I think that's it. Are we good? Toastmasters, is there anything else we need to do? Should I call back?
Who won the various categories?
Oh, yes. Well, we did have a little spate of going over time, so we have, by process of elimination, speakers. So let's have Susanna come up. She was our winning speaker for the evening.
Would be the first time I actually stayed within the time.
Progress.
It was determined.
Progress. You know,
Yes.
there is a tip, when you feel like the red light is on and you are just trying to finish up, is don't thank people afterwards. Nail it, finish your last statement, and don't then pause and go, thank you, Mr. Toast. That's when you'll go over. And that's what happened with the evaluation, I think, a couple of weeks ago. So you somehow, so just, you can stop, it's okay. All right, and our other, what was our other contest? Evaluator. Will Burns, as he heads off to division competition. All right. Okay, we look forward to hearing how that goes. All right, and with that, I'm going to turn the meeting back over to our acting president to close us out.
Okay, thank you all for your adaptability tonight. Let's remember Art, who will also be competing.
Yes.
And Will, so those speakers are going to be well represented
Yes.
on Saturday. Where's the event? Coralville?
Corwell.
Okay.
We're planning to go sweep the competition.
All right.
We'll watch Facebook for
Yeah.
the latest,
Updates.
right?
Has the club contest from 2 weeks ago gone up on the site yet? Is the area contest going to go up on the site?
It's already up.
Not there yet, but it will
No, it's
go.
up.
It is up.
Oh, it is.
Okay.
Anyone interested in a speaking slot for next week? See me. Running a little thin.
And anybody that needs to pay their dues, I'm going to tackle people as they leave tonight. So.
Okay, any other business for the good of the order? Not, we're adjourned.